Who would like to go first?
I guess I was supposed to go first, yeah. Okay, I'm Sarah. They became licensed at the end of January. And I chose real estate because, well, I was tired of doing daycare. Real and honest. I was absolutely tired of having a daycare, and my kids are old, and I can now do things that I enjoy, and I love real estate, and I love, I really love looking at houses and creeping houses. So my husband is really into real estate and really into investing in real estate, and so I thought, well, I'd try it out and see how it goes. And my kids are really super into it, and they want to join too. So
How old are your old kids?
old kids. My daughter is she'll be 17 in May, and my son is 14.
You just said that my kids are old.
My kids are older. They're just not little. They're just not little kids. Yeah. So they're.
And your husband, you guys have rental properties? Is that what you mean by investing?
We have a property, like we've bought houses, and like we have a property, but there's nothing on it, and we were gonna build on it, but didn't happen. So we're not gonna sell and then buy a cottage and then rent that out and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and hopefully a couple more.
We have a few out in the rent that when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to buy them like that.
It is.
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm Victoria. I'm the admin for the Walker team, and I'm new to real estate as of January as well. So,
Yeah.
She's more than it is. And you are else.
Yeah, my name's Elsie. I'm with the 705 team. I'm also a baby in real estate. I started March 3rd.
Oh, Mark Third this year.
Yeah. So also new. And I got into it because going to like university and post-secondary really never appealed to me. And my family's also moved around a lot my entire life. They're also immigrants. So
Oh, really?
their real estate agent, when they first came here, was a big part of my family's life. So just the connection that we had to him and seeing how he affected our lives, that really appealed to me. And then I met Nikki, and she kind of solidified it.
That's awesome. So you were already in real estate before you joined Nikki's team, or Nikki?
I jumped right into hers.
Wow.
So Nikki wasn't your realtor that your family got close
No,
to?
no.
Is he local?
He died a few
Oh.
years ago.
Oh.
That was tragic, but yeah, he was local. Yeah.
That's a really cool, not just the good
It's a
part,
sad
of it,
story.
but it's a really.
Yeah, I got really lucky with Nikki. I met
I
her.
thought you can't be worried. Did you have post-secondary school?
No, I
You went
mean,
right into real estate.
yeah, right into real estate.
That's awesome.
Good for you. Most people fall backwards into real estate.
My plan's the opposite.
Totally.
It's like my fallback will be
Something else.
something else.
And I'm Carrie.
Come on
Come on in.
in. We haven't started. We're just introducing ourselves.
Oh, great. I got into real
If you want to
estate.
come up to that chair, we'll all be tighter. You don't have to, you don't have to.
How about there?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's right here.
Yeah, wherever she wants.
Thank you.
She tried to sneak to the back.
And you caught me.
Sorry, so what led you to the real?
Both my parents were realtors,
No way.
and so I was licensed 20 years ago, but I had little kids then, and I found it really hard, like babies still feeding them pablum, and people would be calling saying, "You just drove up from Toronto, come show us a house," and I'd have to drop everything, and I just found it really hard. So I got out of it, started working at schools, and now my kids are older, and so I got back into it. And we're about to sell our house, like we're that's really what triggered me doing it, is we were gonna sell our house, and I've never had to pay commission to an agent before because my mom was licensed and I was licensed. So I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to pay for this one unless I get my license. So that's really what triggered it. But
So will you do it full time?
if I get busy enough, I would do it. full
You
time.
said you were at school
I work, pardon?
work? Are you at school work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
York Region School Board.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I work that full time, just doing this part time. And like, we've talked about this in one of the other sessions, but if I like goals, if it could be busy enough, I would love to give up my day job and do this full time. But worst case scenario, this is kind of like a retirement, into retirement, I could be doing it down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So a comment is, so a comment is, most people get into real estate because they want to control their hours and to make a lot of money. And it doesn't tend to, you don't really get control of your calendar for a long time.
Mhm.
We just introducing ourselves.
So I'm Andrea Regularch. I'm with Linda 19. And you want background?
How long have you been in real estate and what made you get into it?
So I've always been interested in real estate. I think a lot of people, you know, they're always checking MLS and kind of playing around and like that. I had a business and I had it for a long time, but it was very physically demanding. So I knew I had to find something else, but what am I going to make money at to recover that income? So I thought real estate. So I did during COVID, my business was closed down because of COVID. And that pushed me to do the schoolwork and get registered. Another life change happened after that, so I didn't start right away. So it's probably been a year that I'm full-time active real estate. I love it. Great decision, great team. Everything is coming along well. Like, I'm happy with it. So that's where I am now. Just building. And it's strange to like have to reel it back and, you know, build the clientele and just rebuild everything. So it's a big.
That's why any young people coming into it, like they're, you know, 40, 50 years ahead of them at it to make great money.
Yeah. I would tell my kids if they want to go in real estate, I would tell them to go to real estate.
It's funny, a lot of agents tell their kids to avoid it because they don't think they did everything correct. I would encourage this with my daughter. I would encourage
Yeah.
the opportunities are.
I just love being self-employed. Like, that's, I can't work for somebody like an employer. I can work for people, but I need to have that control.
Yeah,
The only people I wouldn't encourage to get into it too fast are kids. They should stay there.
they should never transition. No.
That's another natural thing for somebody to do. She has that capacity and work their way. And I would encourage it to.
Do you want me to- Oh, do you want to introduce yourself first?
I'm David Walker of the Walker team. I've been in real estate for 15 years, and I was a builder before that for like 7 or 8 years. But I've always been in sales. So when we built our homes, I sold them as well. Or we had a sales team to sell them. And then when 2008 came, the market changed financially. We were completing our subdivision. So just why not do that? I intended it to be for a couple of years, just something to do till the next project come along. But then I realized, hey, you can make more money with less investment doing real estate than you can building houses. So
And who's that pretty lady on the front?
hold on, it's my wife. My wife, we have a mortgage and real estate team, so my wife is the mortgage side of it. This is who she's referring to. Are you?
They don't have it.
What are they all holding?
This. No, notebooks. They brought notebooks because they want to write down what you're saying.
What's that?
This is our thank you resource for coming in person because it's really hard to do Ignite sessions when everyone's online and automatically you're going to get such a better experience by us all being in the room and sharing. So we wanted to incentivize people to show up in
You did a
person.
good
because
job.
Well, and I hope it's useful too. So everything that's in this,
Did anybody come for this?
Yes,
Yes.
I had to leave work early to get here. That's why I've been doing online more because I don't get home in
I don't
time.
think the experience is the same, that's why.
For sure, I totally agree.
Yeah, get people in the room, it's a shame so many people are online. Actually, each time I went to three, there was only one was there. I felt.
But you guys were also online though. I really understand your days. But, so everything in here, and we're gonna touch on some of it, but are things that our team actually uses every day, and I would be sharing with you because I think they're helpful.
Thank you. We're ready to get going?
Daily successes, and your slide skipped one too far.
No, I'm here.
What do you think are the 5 things every agent needs to do every day, Dave?
Assassin. What do you think the 5 things you should be doing every day if you want to see successful real estate career? There's 5 activities that an agent should do. Should be really good at doing them and only do them. Anybody?
Tell us.
Sorry?
Tell us, seed generation.
Sorry?
Because the benefits.
I don't group them as the same person. Okay, I was just wanting to see. You should be going on appointments. Everything you do should lead up to an appointment, to a sale, to a close, or to a buyer. You should be good at negotiating. One of your functions is writing contracts. Following up with your database. And lead generating. Those are the 5 activities that will make you a lot of money. We tend to get caught up in a lot of other stuff. All of us, I do, but we tend to get off of this so easy. But at least you can text this.
Yep.
These are the 5 activities. It's written down. It's in more detail, but these are the 5 activities from the Red Book in REA. Every agent should be doing.
Is that in here or?
No,
Okay.
this is,
She'll text it.
we stole this one from Gary Keller.
Good.
But, yeah, I will text it, and I think I have everyone's phone number. What was I gonna say on that? When we talk about a Pareto principle and our 80-20%, 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions, and we tend to let 80% of the things that result in very little of our success take up most of our time. Like, it's so easy to get distracted on social media marketing or little itty bitty things that are Google ads. When in reality, if we were just out talking to people and doing things we need to do, we would be.
I see a lot of Facebook or Instagram reels, but that's what they're doing. That is their activity. And I just think, wow, like when do you go sell a house? When do you go get in front of people? Because we all know that's not typically how you lead generate.
It's not bad, but
It's prospecting. It's not lead generation. One of the first slides is the conversation. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationships with me. And I just think that's a model that everybody should have. And no matter who you're in the conversation with, they should be happy you're there. So if you're not going to ever say you want to sell your house, they're probably not going to be as happy as you have a relationship with them and build that relationship. And then they'll think of you when they think of real estate. The 3 Ps of negotiations. We're going to cover these as we walk through them. Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. We have to go through these kind of quick because they condense like from 3 hours to an hour and a half. And every once in a while we'll stop and talk about it more. So this is one of those points. What is negotiating, everybody? What do they think of negotiation? When you finally get a buyer or seller, what is the steps in negotiating? Not in detail, but what is your job in that process? What do you see it as?
I mean, if I'm selling, or no, I'll flip it. If I'm representing the buyer, then I always reach out to the agent. I guess either way, like I always try and engage the agent as my first part of it.
Person to person.
Person to person, yeah, like a phone call.
Have you noticed that's changed at all with other agents? Where it's not person to person?
I don't think I have enough experience to really comment on it.
Do you have a comment?
We'll come to it. It'll get covered. I just find since COVID, the one-on-one contact is really good.
Like face to face, you mean?
Even the engagement is gone. Everybody tries to do the least to the other agent. I don't think that's doing the best job for your clients. I agree with you. That's how it starts with the call.
In Keller Williams, we talk a lot about limiting beliefs and what limiting beliefs we place on ourselves. Same in the room, and any limiting beliefs they think that they have on themselves when it comes to negotiation.
So I think you can't do.
I think you can't, but I think negotiating can be uncomfortable, obviously, so you have to be able to get past that.
What makes it uncomfortable?
Well, you're either insulting someone or upsetting someone. Like they both think they want the lowest, they want the highest, and you're trying to get them somewhere in the middle. So you're disappointing both parts.
Especially if you're doing representation.
Yeah.
You almost bipolar. Let's look to the next slide. One more. So there's two ways it can go. You could present an offer and they could just accept it. Or you could present an offer, it could go back and forth sideways, and you may or may not get to accept an offer. Fair?
Mhm.
Who you negotiate with in a deal? I was just saying to Alicia, I think this is very simplistic. Because it says here, you present your buyer data, he presents there, you go back. But really, you're negotiating with everybody. All the people that are involved here, like home inspectors, lawyers, banks, like you're forever negotiating. You should remember that, because even when you're negotiating with that buyer's agent, you shouldn't really be thinking of that buyer's agent. You should be thinking, I got to speak through him to them, right? Because if I just tell him something, I don't know how he's going to present it.
Mhm.
He's going to put the least, knowing most agents, he's going to put the least effort into it. All he's going to tell you is not high enough, it's not good enough. So you have to craft your message good enough to get around him, but you got to speak through him, and vice versa, right? Like every seller thinks theirs is worth a lot more, especially right now. Fair?
Yeah.
There's usually two things that are every contract comes down to: price and terms. Terms would be, conditions. I'd say fridges, you're usually fighting over something other than price. Personally, I try to get rid of all the terms agreed upon before I focus on the final price. Because if I'm still talking about conditions and fridges and SPPs, do I really want to get to my best price at that point? Or do I want to get the closing date, everything sorted out, and then price it to that? Any comments on that?
Makes sense.
What else do you think might be important to your sellers or buyers? I guess you could do it from both. What are the important things that a seller's looking for in a contract?
Everything they want.
We're going to come to a point where we need to know our client. If we know what's important to our client, if our client's going to be in Ottawa starting a job at the beginning of May, when you get an offer, you better negotiate the heck out of it, right? Like you have the luxury, sometimes you have to be very firm with your seller. Remember, you got to get to Ottawa, so let's not fight over a fridge or a couple $1,000. We need to get your goal and get it accomplished.
Before you go on, your first page, we've included books to Dave's favorite readings for how to improve your negotiation skills. But then the second,
4 of my favorite readings, 1 I love to read.
and then the next page is clauses to include in an offer. We've included some of the clauses we give our team. Obviously, use them.
Everybody use web forms?
Yeah.
So in web forms, you can have their standard clauses, and you can create custom clauses. So to be worded with you would want to say. We mostly work with custom clauses, just to tweak them. An example of that is the buyer walkthroughs. Everybody usually says, I want 2 or 3 buyer walkthroughs prior to closing. You're starting to see some clauses come back that says they cannot be within 48 hours of the closing. That's good for a seller. It's not very good for your buyer who wants to see the state of the house right before closing.
Yeah.
That would be a custom clause. We start adding something like that in.
So there's 4 pages of clauses there too that hopefully you find helpful.
Everybody uses web forms. Does everybody have custom templates? You do? So you pre-filled in offers?
Yeah.
You do?
I haven't done that. Is there So she had to do that.
Okay,
I haven't done anything.
that's worthwhile to do. So if you could have an offer, a listing listing package already made up, all your names and everything around. So it takes you a lot less time to complete it when all your conditions would be in there. If there's too many or not enough, you just add more to it, but the nuts and bolts that are there. And then you do the same for buyer side. It's worth a lot to have them done. If you're driving across town, somebody says write an offer, when you get back to the office, it takes a lot less time. And if you're only doing a few deals, the learning curve, you have to remember everything too. Oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. The 3 Ps approach. What are they, Alicia?
Prepare, design, and position.
And what does that mean?
Well, why don't you tell me?
Preparation is key to building confidence and ensuring a smooth negotiation process. What comes to my mind when I think of preparing for an offer? If we're representing a seller, we do a CMA, to try and tell them what their house is worth. If we're representing a buyer, we just assume that the list price is something we're just negotiating. So you want 700, I'll give you 650, go back and forth with it. But really, that house has a value. You should know what that value is. So I do CMAs for buyers. Like, I'll go find the comparables, and this is what you should be doing. It's not just a matter of, like, every house is overpriced almost right now. So you need to know what the value is so you don't get your client into something too high a price or not higher. That's what comes to my mind on prepare, as well as having templates and everything ready to keep proper conditions of it. Then we go to present. You should really interact with the agent a lot. Your best advocate is an agent that likes you. If you really want to get your offer to the front of the line, if you have a good relationship with that agent, they're not the enemy. They're an equal partner in a transaction trying to get it done. You will meet the exact opposite. I was going up last summer for a bit. Alicia did a few things for me. She got probably one of the worst clients you could get.
Not clients.
Not clients to us. She got one of the worst agents, especially for her first deal, that she ever could have gotten, who wasn't doing the best job for his buyers. He just wanted to prove a point to a young person. His buyers ended up buying it 2 weeks later for exactly where we would have ended up with 2 weeks before, but with more animosity in the deal than ever should have been there.
And goodwill is gone. Like, once you get rid of the goodwill, like,
Sellers hated them.
oh,
Yeah, totally. It happens a lot. I know it sounds bad, but it happens a lot. Because egos come into it with realtors a little bit.
a lot.
Yeah.
But at least that's out of the way now.
But the other part about that too is that people, I think, forget when negotiating that, there's only so many realtors can vary. Like, you're gonna do deals with people again, and you don't ever want to put a taste in somebody's mouth that would be the reason that they don't want to do a deal with you again in the future.
Position. When you know each party's goals, and the more better the relationship with the agent, the more you're gonna learn about the goals of his client, and you're never gonna disclose anything about your client. And you're gonna jockey for position so you know what they want and how you're gonna get to a deal. And it's all about keep moving people along so you get into a fuller goal. Prepare. These are the steps other than what we said that you should do to prepare. Know your goal, which is your client's goal. Know your client, think ahead, set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, and know the documents inside out.
What do you say about buyers?
Buyers are liars, sellers are worse. That's not an offensive term. Every buyer will tell you they won't pay a penny more than new, and every seller will tell you that's the rock bottom number, and it's not. That's where the phrase comes from. It's not derogatory. I didn't make it up. It's as old as real estate, I think, but just keep it in mind and you'll laugh about it every once in a while. Ask purposeful questions. It provides you with the points you will negotiate on, provides insight on where you and your client will have leverage, set clear expectations, allows you to get to know your client and their goal, helps you learn what will make it a win-win negotiation for both parties. The goal, that word goal is interchangeable in this phase. You really need, when you know their goal, It's the best path you can go on. But other than that, you're just putting out numbers. You want 7, I'll give you 6. Open-ended versus closed-ended questions. Never ask a question that can be answered yes or no. That's the end of the conversation, when they answer that. 5 W's is really a good point. Who, what, where, how. When you ask open-ended questions, you're going to get a lot more additional information. When I talk about asking what's the annual closing date, somebody says 30 days. What's important about that 30 days? You always might get a little more information from them that will be helpful. Again, remember, you're negotiating with everybody. If you know that that client has to be somewhere by a certain date, in a sad way, even a divorce, like, it's in their benefit to get that done as quick as possible, because if it drags on for 6 months, that's probably how the divorce happened.
You told me earlier that you invented a word. Do you want to share it with everyone?
Yes. So real estate's about emotion and motivation. And I remember when I first got into real estate, when I read that, I just said emotivation. That's what you're looking for. You're always looking for whatever emotion is in it and the motivation. Thank you for reminding me of that. What and why questions. What would happen if? It helps you anticipate the next steps. So, for instance, a divorce. You're presenting an offer. It's a good offer, but they don't want to take it. What would happen if this dragged on for another 60 days? There's a couple more mortgage payments. There's, they say fear is a better motivator than gain. That's true statement. Why is it important to you? And again, if you ask that question, you're going to get more information back. Here it comes. It says, seek first to understand.
I skipped that one.
What's that?
I skipped that.
We're on to present.
How would you present an offer?
I would call the other agent. That's the first thing on the list. I would ask him what is important. I would ask a lot of questions. I would never, and this happens a lot nowadays, I would never send a DocuSign to agents. Like whatever call, and it happens a lot.
Mhm.
Agents now that haven't been around for a long time, they think just sending her a DocuSign, and then expecting her to reply, or there's no context to it. Again, if your client should be really upset with you, that's how you present their offer. Some agents will go the other way. They'll make videos and write letters and books. As the listing agent, I present what's best for my client. I don't, in fact, if somebody gives me a video or a letter, all they're trying to do is get emotion involved with my seller, which is exactly what I want to remove.
On the topic of e-signature, that's why our next page we included is our team's 4 or 5 rules we use when doing electronic signature, because the way I wrote it here is that not all agents are created equal, even with the same tools. Sometimes people use e-signature really well, and sometimes people use e-signature terribly, and it's not just about getting it signed, it's about how you go about it. So it applies to when you're presenting an offer as well, but in this case I use when you're communicating with the client. But number one, you should always be giving people heads up when you're communicating with e-signature. Don't let the DocuSign notification be the first time they hear about that document.
So Victoria, what do you send? You just send a DocuSign for a listing.
Yeah, I usually give them I give them the heads up first, saying, here's what's coming. If they've listed, if it's a relist, I don't give them as much details because they've done the paperwork before, but usually I give them a little heads up about what each document that they're signing means, so that they're not going into it and having to look things up. We're going the extra mile so that they know what they're signing.
And at this point, Dave's already talked with them, saying these are the documents, but at least having that written record, like, clients don't know what's going on. So having that email they can go back to and say, oh, the RICO information guide, that's that document that explains my rights. Oh, this is an exclusive listing agreement. We're going to have to get more paperwork. I think is a really good paper trail, and just making sure you're doing it.
Yeah, so the point where she's putting it there, she's explaining what it is. Like, this is a document that says your rights in real estate. DocuSign doesn't really afford them. They could be, but very few do. And once they start clicking, their down page is very fast. Mm-hmm. The benefit is down the road, they can't say, I didn't know what that was. You just sent me something, I clicked through it, right? So It's a good heads up.
So the first page is rule one, then you have a sample email there that's exactly what Victoria was just describing about how we would introduce a document via email. Our second is don't rely solely on in-software notes to convey important information. My pet peeve is when people have really important stuff about a document and it's only conveyed in like the notes section of the DocuSign. If there's something important that the person receiving needs to know, it should be sent in a separate email because it can so easily get missed in those little notes. You should always be sending a final copy separate from DocuSign, I would say, because it's just, again, you're going that extra step and making sure, you know, you're building that relationship with your client or whoever's signing, not just waiting for DocuSign to do its automatic. And then always make sure you're storing and organizing your documents efficiently.
So you mean after they've signed everything, DocuSign, instead of relying on them downloading it
Do
and
both.
saving it, you just do that and send it to them?
Yep.
I worked with a builder. He swears every time he goes to download something from DocuSign, it asks him to set up an account.
Or the link expires after so long, even though it's deemed, like by base requirements, you are making sure they're getting a copy, but it's like, we don't want to just be functionary agents. We want to be fiduciary and creating value. And no, we're going to resend you that email saying, hey, here's everything you signed. Here's again what it was for your record.
And conveyance is one of the obligations in real estate. You have to convey a signed copy of all offers to the client.
Mhm.
You know, DocuSign might work for that, but if they say they never have the DocuSign, we'd rather do it twice than to have somebody say I need to get it. Listen carefully what is important to the other person, stay calm and relaxed, which is, you know, if you don't sell a lot and you see $20,000 bill in front of you, it's easy to get excited. We usually spend it before we actually get it. I say realtors can all multiply by 5%, eh? Focus on the customer's needs. Give your offer the best chance. Used to be agents presented offers in person, requested to present it in person. We've done it in a few courses, and people are starting to talk about that, but it's really gone by the wayside, I think.
Or so on.
I'm on position now. Acknowledge and affirm common ground. Ask what and how questions, know that positioning is a process and know when to walk away. Positioning doesn't just mean price. So, you know, positioning isn't on getting 20,000 less than you're asking both distinct conditions. It's all Schedule A, all the channels and fixtures. And know when to walk away. That's hard for us, but sometimes it happens.
Have you ever had a deal revived?
Yeah. Many. You mean revive where it didn't work? Yes, I've had offers die at 10:30 at night and 9 o'clock the next morning. We just get together again and realize, hey, the only way we make money is to keep this thing going. But it's easy in the going back and forth. I think the one that I should refer to, I think we had an agent that felt we had to buy the home. And he was pretty confident in his tone and his language. And around 10:30, I just said, well, my buyers are out. And then he's got nothing to say. Like, he's blown it for his client. And I knew at 9 o'clock the next morning, I could phone him and say, hey, you changed your mind. And that's exactly what happened. And sorry, I should say, my buyers would walk away. Like I wasn't making it up. I always relay that to them, but I tell them that's the strategy. I think we're at a dead end here. Unless somebody walks away, nobody's going to wake up. Okay, we're not going to do any role playing.
Thank you.
Again, this is a 3-hour thing that they condensed. They didn't do homework. Used to be that there's a lot of homework anyway.
Yeah, we have really,
What documentation did we give you? Anything?
no.
So you never got a workbook? They gave you the digital copy. There's a workbook. What's that?
We got nothing.
Nothing. There is a workbook and all this, like I see, taking pictures, a lot of these comments are in it and then we'll see if we can get you a workbook. You know, there's no work in it, it's just your notes. We're gonna jump on to get to close. So we just talked about negotiating. Now we have a contract. We gotta get from one side of the contract to the close, which is usually when we get a check. It's not about the check, but if that doesn't happen, we don't get a check. So everything we just did was for free.
Before we move on, does anyone have any more questions that haven't been answered about negotiating? It's a tough one because it's kind of one of those things where until you're in the situation.
Has everybody done the deal? No,
Not,
Oh, yeah.
not since my.
not yet. Not yet. Yes.
Yes.
So what was your best negotiating story?
I think it was actually, for a first time buyer, and I did like a love letter to the homeowners or to the sellers and the agent first. And we just spoke about.
You represented the buyer?
Pardon me?
You represented the buyer?
Yeah. And, the agent and I just had a nice conversation about our families and like that we're representing. And so it just seemed very natural, and you know, we both felt like we were just gonna work to the end to get this figured out. So thanks for your question.
That's a good,
Yeah.
I like that answer. Do you have a favorite negotiation story?
Yeah, early on, the market was bad, like 2008, 2009. And in the water review condos downtown, there were several units for sale. They're all the exact same unit we involved in that. So there was 3 for sale. They were the same floor plan. One was really nice, and up higher on the floors. But it was a lot more money. And then there was 2 other ones. But again, they were the same unit. My client would have taken the worst one, just for the price point. Not the worst, it was fine. It just didn't have the upgrades, and it was a much better price point. And the market wasn't great. So I wrote an offer to the seller, through his agent, offering him the same amount for the cheapest one, which we would have settled for. And I gave it reverse. It was irrevocable by the buyer, from the seller. So I wrote it to them with our signatures already on it. They accepted our contract.
Can you explain that again?
It was a reverse offer.
So you're representing the seller, you're
I
representing the
represent the
buyer?
buyer. Normally, you would write an offer as the buyer to the seller. I filled it in the opposite way. So my irrevocable was not for the buyer anymore, it's by the seller. Just give him 24 hours to think about it. But his signature became a firm deal. And it worked.
Right.
Because the situation was perfect, we would have taken the cheapest one. We knew we could always go buy that one. And they knew that was their competition. So really what they gave away was their upgrades. Right? And they had a lot of them. Anyway, that was probably that one.
Yeah, good job.
But it
They
could,
like dumbfound the other.
I don't know.
It was like, what?
I don't know. But I assume they wanted to sell it too. A phrase in one of the things we read recently, the agent said, "Is that your price or the seller's price?" Makes sense. Like, how often do we meet with a seller and they say, "I want to try it here," when the agent told them to try it there? If they answer it wrong, you really got a strong hold in that. If the agent says that was the seller's price, you know there's a lot of room to
Negotiate.
negotiate. If he's smart, he would answer it. Real estate transactions aren't particularly trouble-free. It's a strenuous and trying time that requires all the attention and effort you can command. I couldn't agree with that more.
Can you give an example of a deal that almost fell apart?
Yeah, it's hard to find one. There might be, they're not, they won't. I can't think to put my finger on one, but yeah, many deals it's not been an easy process to get to the accepted offer.
No, not the accepted offer closing.
No, I've never had a deal not close. I've one with the new builder where they walked from 100,000 over to 1,000. Because of my ability to care. That's the only. I've had a deal where our admin, not you, failed to send it to the lawyer and we found out on the day of closing. Luckily, it was a vacant lot, so it wasn't an issue at all. But it's time to take it into where we.
And this is why proper planning,
What's the phrase?
the degree says proper planning prevents poor performance, right? Yeah.
So, I'm gonna just jump into the screen here.
And I have stuff I can talk about here.
Okay. When you talk about the contract timeline, you have an accepted offer, and you get to closing. And this illustration basically simplifies it. It says you book an inspection. When you get by that, you head right to closing. It's probably a little more complicated than that. There's probably many steps. And even this one, if I said to Victoria, how many steps should be on that top illustration, other than what's there? I know she does so many steps. She's sending stuff to lawyers, she's sending stuff to the agents, remind them that there's a date, a trigger date on something. She's going through the offer as soon as she gets it in her hand to make sure that all the dates are on, like, calendar somewhere. Many things. What does she do?
So I guess we're talking about buyers first. So we've included the timelines and checklists that our team uses. I put sell before buy. So if you flip to the page, it looks like this. This is the one I'm referencing right now, but not the sell one. You'll know it's buy because it says buy right there. But Victoria put this lovely picture together for you, and then this is the system we use. But we've broken it down pretty simple for you to illustrate it, because these are also American sides and there's still American terminology. But we've broken it down into what happens before the offer, what happens once you have a conditional offer, what are the things that need to happen once it's firm, in the period between firm and closing, and then what happens on closing day, and what happens after closing. You want me to go through it more?
Do you have something more deeper?
Yeah, this is just a checklist. So as each of these stages is happening, and you have this now to reference, it's a combination of the agents on our team and our administrative support, but
I'm kind of referring to a timeline of when things get done. I thought you discussed it with me earlier. Like 2 weeks before closing, we're gonna reach out to make sure.
yeah, I have it, it's under.
It's all in there? Okay, yeah.
So when you, as a buyer's agent, get your conditional offer, you want to make sure that you're sending, first off, a big congrats. So hypothetically speaking, your client has accepted offer, you're representing the buyer. First thing we're going to do is we're going to send them a big congrats email with all the documents. And on our team, we think it's really important to summarize the details really well, because we have to remember our clients are not legal experts. And even though we think contracts are super easy to read, sometimes they can get really lost in the details of it.
They may not know the difference between business days and calendar days. They may think it's firming up. They have a firm deal. Often they think just because they signed an offer, they got a firm deal. It's an explanation. These are the next steps. These are the next dates.
So earlier on, we've included the congrats on your accepted offer for a buyer and for a seller, but how we break it up. So we attach the documents, we say what documents we're attaching, we give the deposit information and the deadline for delivery instructions, and how we've worded that out. We explain each of the conditions, what needs to happen, what their rights are in fulfilling them. We recommend a lawyer. We actually recommend 3, because you should never recommend just one, because you don't want to make it like that's the only option. And so if you're a new agent, I think that's super helpful. We give these to our team members, and they work.
Are these templates?
These are templates.
Gmail?
They're in follow-up box, but there's some.
They're also-
Yeah, so these aren't something you have to create all the time. This is just something you would create a template for and fill in the blanks. Again, if you even at 10 deals a year, you don't get familiar enough with them, so that's why vendors are templates. You can be consistent. Is there anything on this timeline that you would think you would add in? I have a pet peeve in closing. I want to know if there's a problem before I get a phone call. So I always like our office to be in contact with that lawyer in the morning and the afternoon. If you've got everything you need, how's things looking for the day? And will you notify me as soon as it closes? And if you have a good relationship with them, they will. Because the last thing you want is a phone call 5 to 5 saying, this is not closing, there's still a moving truck in the driveway. You want to know, you want to be proactive in solving that problem. And it happens a lot.
When do you make that call?
First thing, day of closing.
A day of closing.
Actually, I think you're doing it 2 weeks before,
We're
final
sending,
search date. You got everything you need. You're just trying to see if there's any problem. Money is usually the big one. The bank hasn't forwarded the money.
everything else on that is when there's a problem, like it's kind of hard, because once you have an accepted firm offer, it's from a functionary versus fiduciary standpoint, you really don't have that much obligation until closing day.
Yeah.
Like that's not really, that ball's not in your court. So anything you do in that time period, you kind of have to intentionally insert yourself back into the transaction to stay in the relationship. And so one of the ways we show value is in that lawyer relationship. We're always the ones sending documents to a lawyer. Hey, did you get this? Is everything okay? How did this work out? And then on closing day, the thing I think we want to remember is that as realtors, we very much have a customer service mindset. Sometimes if there's a problem, the worst person to explain it to them is their lawyer, not because lawyers are bad, but they're very black and white, to the fact, to the point, and like legal implications. And so we've had times where the lawyer's the first person to explain a problem to a client. They're like, oh my God, this is seriously impossible. And realistically, it's like, no, this is quite common. We'll give it 24 hours and see how it works out. You want to be the person to be there.
We had one last September. There was a bit of a problem. But two things, the agent, I had a good relationship with the agent, but the lawyer told our client that it wasn't going to close. And they had already had a problem a couple of days before. And I was calling the agent, and he was telling me, I think everything's fine, but he said, there is a problem, but we hope to get it solved before 6 o'clock. The lawyer was telling the client it's not going to close. It's actually, the deal's dead. And I was saying, well, I don't know, people I talked to say, I think I would just hang in there for this. So you're walking a monster clip all the time. Not all the time, some deals do go well. But, you know, the lawyer's not necessarily your friend. They got and they might have 3 or 4 closings on their desk. You know, you're just, yeah.
And I wouldn't leave it, like when working with lawyers or any third party in general, but like you always want to be proactive. You don't want to, you know, if you were to leave it to the lawyer to reach out to you, the lawyer's never going to reach out to you. You will have to insert yourself and say, hey, please call me. Or if we haven't heard anything by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're calling, we're saying, can you update us? Victoria's gotten really good at talking to law clerks on the phone because that's, you know, how you build value for your clients.
And you always want to be a good company. Always.
So I guess once you have a accepted conditional offer on a buy side, you're making sure your client has their paperwork. You're obviously doing all of your compliance through Keller Williams. So I've detailed on our checklist what's there. We have a transaction spreadsheet that we store all of our important information in. You can't really tell, but I can pass it around. But we organize all of our deals by status, the important parties, property address. We put in all the conditions, and every condition has a date, so it'll automatically highlight when important things are coming up, when it's title search date, so nothing's ever slipping through the cracks. Victoria's always setting reminder emails to herself so that any important date, nothing's getting missed.
Because we are a team, I'm going to get in trouble if something goes wrong. So our, you know, the inner circle of the team has to make sure all this stuff is right.
You don't.
I don't-
Can you pass that to Andrew?
So all the agents enter?
No, our admin does all of it.
Only one person.
Come on in.
I thought she was more than an. Hi.
She's not. She's more than an admin. She's everything.
Yes.
All right, calm down.
How are you?
No problem. So,
Finance information.
what's your name? Joyce. Nice to meet you, Joyce. I think we've met once before. This is the resource that we've been working out of. Right now we're covering buyer
Transaction.
transactions. Joyce, do you want, everyone introduced themselves earlier. Did you want to say a little bit about you and your background and what brought you here tonight?
I'm Joyce. I'm currently at another college taking courses. So I'm just reviewing, and then next year we'll go back to Hamburg.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
So you're licensed now?
Not, yeah, I still need
You're
to
still in the
go
process.
for-
Oh, good for you. That's good for you to come to
Yeah,
courses
very
while
proactive.
you're waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is important for negotiating, how to discuss with them.
You're gonna hit the ground running.
Great manner and,
Yeah. We're past the
Yeah, very
negotiating side.
helpful.
We're on the close side.
You two in one team,
Sorry?
you two in the same team.
That's my
Yes,
wife.
that's my mom.
That's my wife.
That's my least favorite thing is when
So, yeah.
when people come into the open house and they're like, "You're-" and I'm
I
like,
can tell.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to go over this. It's things that are pretty self-explanatory. So we've included that. We have the seller checklist, but then we've also included our lawyer communication checklist. And Victoria put together all of our emails we send to lawyers too, so you have that.
Let's just bring Joyce up to speed on the two documents.
Sorry, Joyce. This is the booklet of resources that our team uses, our systems, and everything that I could think of that could be helpful. And this is, we were just showing what our transaction sheet looks like. I think the point of the transaction sheet is don't just leave everything, especially the important dates, up to whim or to your memory. And yes, put them in your calendar, but also have a way to remind yourself. And
It got on our radar. We wanted to be able to open the screen. No, it's immediate. This is, I don't think what this illustrates is everything is color coded. So when you open this, if a certain color shows up, it needs the most attention.
yep. And Victoria's system is when she comes into the office on every Monday morning, she's going through and she's looking at, okay, what are the upcoming firm deals and what's upcoming conditions that need to be met, what's upcoming closings and the requirements in that.
So every agent gets an email with what is outstanding or not outstanding or what's upcoming for the week.
Even compliance, Victoria takes care of all of our compliance. So if there's like something that gets returned, Victoria's the one that's passing that back onto the agent and saying, hey, putting this back on your radar. This is what's happening this week.
I'm on interaction and communication plans. So Joyce, we're just now going through the close. After you have an accepted offer, we're walking it through to the closing. Common interaction points, communications and deadlines. This is with your buyer. So again, if they need to, what's something they would need to do a month before for utilities? You're reminding them you should be calling, Enbridge. Otherwise, they don't know. You should be finding out where your post office is. The more things you can do like that, the more you're likely going to get a referral from them.
And
That's the point we get a little bit on.
and taking yourself from not every agent is equal. So taking yourself from performing the function of being a real estate agent versus giving value.
If you don't do any of those things, you're just like every other agent. And that's a derogatory comment. No, what I should have said was you wanted to set yourself apart from every other agent. Lender and buyer communication. I guess we're relatively new bunch, but you should have a relationship with that lender, your buyer's lender. You want to make sure that, hey, they may tell you everything's fine, yeah, I can afford a house, but one of them might be self-employed or they don't have all the, a lot more documentation involved in that. That you can relay information, what's actually outstanding. No, I didn't mean it. Communication of a list of recommendation title companies, which is the lawyers for our Canadian language, inspectors, insurance agents. Again, you're building value into what you give to them. We have a contractor price that applies Canada, the line appliance. You can go ahead and get contractor pricing on it. We don't gain from it at all, but it's a nice feature. Scheduling. Sorry?
Can I have that?
What is it?
TA appliance.
Oh.
Contractor pricing. I have a new home builder, so that's how we're.
Yeah.
You personally?
Yeah.
If you need it.
Yeah, I need.
I'll certainly get my code. It will save you a fair bit.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Scheduling communication, so whatever conditions are there, did you put our standard within the financing home inspection? Yeah, we have all the three main conditions in one condition. So as the agent, they should be making sure that this documentation got to their financing, to the inspector and to the lawyer, so that at the end of 5 days, they can quickly be removed. And it is our job to stay on our buyer to make sure those things get done. Because you're not going to make any money if it doesn't close. Is anybody here doing it not for the money? Everybody says, I love this. So I say, take away the money and all of us are going home. Now you lose something.
No.
Sending amendments or inspection reports to the other side. I agree with the amendments. I don't necessarily agree with voluntarily sending an inspection report. Other than usually comes with a summary page. If you're going back for some kind of a discount or something, you might pass it on. Additional question to ask yourself. When am I reminding the buyers to not make big purchases? Sorry, why? It should be, nobody should say why. Why are we reminding buyers not to make big purchases?
It affects their.
Absolutely. Everybody buys a house and then they picture their new truck going in the garage. That truck's likely going to be $1,200 bi-weekly or something like that. And then it'll blow their financing at the end. It happens a lot. That's why all these jokes are. So tell them. It's our job to tell them because we want it to close.
I've seen realtors have do's and don't lists. Once you have an accepted offer, do this, don't.
Yeah.
Apply for credit.
Yeah.
Don't.
Because you could screw up your whole mortgage application.
Even people making their deposit with borrowed money.
Even if initially going to get credit checks to buy appliances or windows, like that hurts your credit score. If your credit score drops below a certain point before closing.
I never thought about that.
Sorry?
I never thought about that.
Well, I hear my wife having conversations, so. Am I communicating notices of any holidays that may delay the process? So we had one recently where Family Day, it was questionable whether it was,
Counting.
yeah, counting in the days, was it? It did, right?
I know, I think
We
it
had to
is
exclude
included.
it, yeah.
Yeah, it was, it was a business day, right? No, it was not a
It
business
was
day.
a holiday, yeah.
So it's nice to have somebody catching all those things, because I probably wouldn't have counted it. How do I negotiate the inspection report, and when am I communicating this information? Anybody have any thoughts on that? You're representing a buyer, you do a home inspection, you get the report. What would be on it that would cause you to go back and say to your buyer, you should ask for a rebatement on this, or a abatement on this?
I mean, I've had an inspector say they will not share the report, it has to go to the client and then.
Oh, they won't
they're-
share it with you.
Yeah, it's only the client, in fact, they wouldn't even talk to me, anyways, that the client has to share it with me and discuss that, so.
That's the inspector, you can go with that.
No.
No, exactly. If you have a relationship with them, you're going to get what you want. Other people, egos are going to come into this so fast. They're either they want more money to send it to you, or your client will have to give permission. Ultimately, you sent them, well, in this case, maybe not, but
Yeah.
you want to get your hands on that, because again, you don't want the deal to fall apart. I had one deal fall apart on a mousetrap. It wasn't even, it was just sitting on the bench.
Wow.
It was just, nobody got any communication, is it? How do you feel about renegotiating the price if there's a bad thing on the inspection report?
Depends what it is, really. If it's like a foundation, I think a lot of people wouldn't want to, like, well, I mean, everything has a number, so.
That's right. Look, there's another saying, price fixes everything. That's right. Okay, so some people would be comfortable with it, some people wouldn't. Some people like to use it as a negotiating tool, some buyers, like their intent is to go back and say this, and this. The way I look at it is if they could notify and identify when they did the walkthroughs, they shouldn't be trying to abate the price on it. If something came up that, mold in the attic or something like that, you couldn't have seen that. But don't come back and tell me there's a cracked window or a fogged up window when it was there when you walked through that.
Right.
When do I touch base with the lender, title company, and the listing agent?
You want the same page as me? Yeah. Me? Oh, yeah.
When do I touch base with the lender? Well, the lender's rep, but the mortgage agent. Title company being the lawyer, it was all the time. Why not? What can it hurt? Is there anything wrong with your side? When would you contact the lawyer? What would be your first contact for a lawyer on the buyer? Making sure he has the offer, right? Like you want him to have the contract, you want him to, what does our template look like?
Yeah, it's for the offers where you're sending it, you're saying, our,
On behalf of the buyer.
yeah, our client wishes for you to represent them. Here's the closing data, title search, all the necessary documents that go along with the deal. And then the information for the seller's lawyer as well.
And what do we ask them to do? Please acknowledge receipt of this. We want to make sure that that was communicated. A lot of agents might just say to their buyer, you need to get this to a lawyer. If they don't, you know, just, why not? We're making good money for what we do. Let's do as much as we can.
On the buy side, just for record in our system, we're touching 1, 2, I think at least 3 times, but probably more if there's more documents going back and forth. So that's an initial email. You're saying it's firming up. Here's all the documents, any other documents that come through after that. 2 weeks before, which is typically when your title search date is, we always want to follow up before the title search date and say, hey, do you have everything you need? Is there anything else you need? Is just acknowledging that, because you never want it. Most lawyers are leaving everything to the last minute to get to that title search. And then on the sell side, we're touching them a little bit more because we're also giving them a lockbox code.
I'm not trying to slight lawyers. I understand their process. That's what they do is close houses. So they might have a lot on their plate that day. When do you send out the code?
A week before.
A week before. Have you ever gotten a call saying, can I have a lockbox code on the day of closing?
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't look at it. Did you re-forward them the same email?
Yeah, I got a reply to the email.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
don't assume that they're all just on top of it. It will make you stand out if you are on top of it. Like, if you do half of these things, you will be better than most agents. I think that's why we put this package together.
And we've included all of our email templates there too in our lawyer
And
communications.
to sellers.
Okay, good, because we've got minutes left.
Yeah.
So then I guess you need to communicate this all to your clients as well, because they won't know that you're.
Yeah, we CC our clients on every communication with the lawyer.
Oh, okay.
I say most oftentimes they're telling us the lawyer that they're using, or they're saying, oh, based on your recommendations, we want to use this person. And we say, oh, let us make the introduction. So in that email template you're seeing, we're saying, oh, I'll actually just read it through, but our mutual clients, these people's names informed us that they want you to represent them in the sale of this property. Just so we summarize that this is the title search date, this is the closing date. We're giving them all of our seller's contact information, and we're CCing the seller or the buyer on the email. We're attaching all the documents. We're listing what we're attaching. We're making sure we're labeling it all really well so that if it's, there's multiple amendments, what each amendment does and in which order. And we're always saying who the other party is using for the representation. We always say don't question, send us your commission statement, but Keller Williams does that. So we always say that right from the start of our email.
Set the expectation.
Yep.
You're a future committee.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Oh, I am like a few.
Sellers, what's the first thing my seller needs? What do the sellers need to know and do? What do I need to know and do? What does the rest of the team, co-op, agents, inspectors, lenders need to know, take action on it, and when? What am I doing at each point to bulletproof the transaction and set myself and my sellers up for successful close? So much the same as we walked through on the buyer side, be the seller, the language will just change a bit. So there's a timeline for sellers. This oversimplifies it. There's probably 20 steps that you could have a system set up on throughout from accepted offer to the closing date. Common interaction points, communications and deadlines. So this is the same stuff we just talked about, email templates and systems, just, all just substitute for the seller side of it. Yeah, some of the things here, because you're doing movers, cleaners, if you have a list that you can give to these people. I'm not sure, have you guys done all of the Ignite ones? You have a value proposition? This helps build your value proposition. Like, again, when you're talking to somebody and you start saying, well, I'll get you the name of movers, cleaners, and everything, you're going to blow them away because I didn't even thought I had to. It's a pretty common clause to have in an offer that I'll have the house burned, swept, and cleaned for closing, and moving truck's still there at 5 o'clock because, what is it?
Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Right. and send the documents. This came up before, we skipped over, but there's a difference between communication or documents, and then we turned it into a combination of both. Some things are just a communication. Hey, give me the name of who you want to use for a home inspector. But the document is when we communicate that document to the lawyer, it's also got documents on it. But there is a difference. Like some things you just say, hey, here's the name of the buyer or clients. You don't have to keep track of that. The documents you want to track and have people acknowledge them. To whom and from whom is the document going? What is the best pathway? For communicating the document to the responsible party. Page here. What is the best way? It's like this.
Oh, is it this one?
Yes. Is everybody use DocuSign? That's a good way to communicate. But when you write a contract, on page 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on page 2. Clause 3 states how documents can be sent back and forth. But what this clause says is, you put your email address here, the other agent puts their email address here. What this means is, if I email a waiver to that email address, it doesn't matter whether they got it or not. This says, if I sent it to that address, that was an acceptable form of communication. You can't say I was fishing or I was away and I never got that email. That's, you only have certain times for waivers and notices. Again, somebody just will send you this without anything on it, but this is one of those clauses in the agreement. Anybody know that? Not really repeat like they did when it was in class. They skip over so much. Did you do it online? Yeah. Do you like it to do online?
I mean, sure.
I asked.
You have to teach yourself, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this.
If you're okay with it, then.
What is the plan for follow-up after a document has been sent to the responsible party? I think we include that in the templates. Have them acknowledge it. If they haven't acknowledged it, follow up, and then you get my email. The acknowledgement is very important. Are there templates that I can use or create for this? We've given some of them to you.
Oh, this is a cool one. Can I say something from command? So I'm sure everyone uses command because that's how we do our compliance. But we only use command for our compliance. It's not our main CRM system. But we are every day trying to learn more about it because there's actually a lot of really cool capabilities from a compliance standpoint, but also from a streamlining all of these systems. So one of the things that Victoria's working on is that you can create, maybe you guys already do this and I just kind of think this is cool, but you can actually create like checklists, I want to say, pre-set checklists. So this system that I've given you about everything that needs to happen at every stage, you could set it up so that when a deal moves from conditional to firm, it's automatically going to create a checklist that has all these things in it. So if that's the way that you keep track of things, that could serve as the purpose of what our
This
transaction
is not
coordinator
hard.
does.
It's relatively simple. Is what do they use to plan? Or what do they use for the
Okay.
Does this give you alerts too?
Yeah.
I see you can set it up too. We're working on it.
Sorry, what was that?
Alerts? Like, I love that you have somebody that's, flagging what needs to be done, like, and checking it daily. I would like to have that to tell me, like, this needs to be done, And I'm wondering if that would.
I think it does give you alert.
I think it will send it to your email.
Yeah.
If they have to set it up to do it. I'm not an
Yeah.
expert in Victoria's
Usually, most
translation.
of these things, the prep work goes into setting it up. Once it's set up, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be very surprised if there's something that's do it.
But on the topic of reminding yourself though, I think our reasoning on a team is just over communicate to yourself. Like, so when Victoria's setting a reminder, she's putting it in Google Calendar so everyone can see it. She's putting it in a spreadsheet. She's also scheduling a reminder email to herself on that day and like to the agent. And so like, essentially if something gets missed, like
You have to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, it's really hard to miss something because it's just, you're covering your base. And the same thing is when you're like communicating with the client, like, don't just call, email. Make sure that you're overdoing
You
that.
can't over-communicate.
No, not at all.
And before all this came into place, it was fighting fires. But all of a sudden you say, just names, and hey, did you get this? Oh, yeah. Anyway, still see that. Mostly the mid.
Pardon?
Mostly with me.
No. Oh, sorry. I am
This is
doing
what
that.
we just said. Communicate clearly and often with everyone involved in that step of the transaction. Set expectations up front and maintain your professionalism throughout.
And I think the thing on there too, the expectations part, I think is really important as well. Like, we have to remember that everyone we're talking to is not speaking the same language. Like, your client doesn't know everything, the ins and outs of real estate. So be really careful in the terminology you're using, the abbreviations, what we think is just industry standard is not necessarily that to our clients. I don't even know that one client had this summer, how many times I told them pay out their hot water heater and how to do that and how to call, but you just gotta set the expectations, stay on top of it. Sorry.
Well, it's totally true. We, I like to do everything in a booklet. Maybe it's a nice presentation. But we did a pre-listing booklet recently for somebody. And it had everything in it in detail, right through to the last page was a calendar about, we're gonna hold offers to this date. And he crumpled it up in front of me. And I said, I can't believe it. He took that nice magazine, I took a picture, didn't I? I took a picture of it and sent it to her. 82 years old. He read when he went home, he read he said it. Wow, I can't believe how comprehensive that was. So when he crumpled it up, what are you doing? Because I knew it was going to be one of those things where I under-communicated. Don't be offended. Risk avoidance, be proactive. I think that's what we've been talking about for all of this to get to the close. Like, always know where the deals are at risk of falling apart. What are the best practices to keep the deal alive? And if you over-communicate, you'll know exactly what's happening in the transaction.
And I also think that as a new agent, it's really scary sometimes, like, because you don't know all the answers and you're trying to be in front of your client and not act like you do, but be confident. You don't want to scare them. And so don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, I think our brokerage as a whole is so helpful, but like Michael Siegwin at Broker of Record is so easy to come to and explain things. And Sarah Higgins is a great resource. You could email Dave any day you want and he'll answer your questions. Way better to be proactive in that sense too, than to misrepresent something yourself.
Absolutely. Everybody know what the fiduciary is? You should. Always acting in my best interest, even when it seems to be perfectly wrong. Once we sign a contract with somebody, that's our legal obligation. Short of that, it's just honesty and integrity. I don't think anybody ever signs up for that. When they sign a contract with you, they expect you to represent their best interest, know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, and you're the person they're going to blame. You're the first person that could get a finger pointed at them if something goes wrong, unless you've over-communicated. Then they can know it's their as well. Future opportunities, repeat and referral business. So everybody's relatively new, right? This is really, really important. When we sell a house, or sell or buy a house, we shouldn't just be thinking about that transaction. We should be trying to turn that into 2-for-1 or 3-for-1. We want to get as much leverage off of that as possible. So every step of the way through the transaction, in your own words, in a subtle way, you should be asking for referrals. There's many scripts for it. If you know anybody about buying or selling, if you know anybody that could use our service, typically, especially early on in the transactions, they're raving about you. Like, oh, they're so good, they're the best, especially if you over communicate. And at every one of those opportunities, hey, don't tell me, tell your friends, right? You have every opportunity, and it works. I mean, I think 80% of our business is repeat and referral. It's the easiest business to find. If you're going to go door knocking or looking for, I think it's a
And the beautiful thing about referrals too is that someone else is building the trust for you. Like you're getting in off someone else's good word. So it's like, you know, if you get a lukewarm lead and you have to go into that listing presentation, you have to win the person over. Versus if your really good friend was a referral who brought this person in and they really have a good relationship with them, so they're getting in off, like you're getting in off their goodwill. It's just making it so much smoother. So I think they're high value.
Ask for referrals at every conversation, throughout the transaction with the buyer or seller, at the close of the transaction.
So we've included our closing day email we send to our buy and sell side, and in that, that's an automatic one. It's branded, but you should also be reaching out personally and making a personal connection on closing day. But we do ask for a Google review in our last communication with the client. I've included 2 referral scripts. I've got these from a coaching program I'm in. I think at the end of the day, referral scripts, you need to pick which one sounds most natural to you, because it's not going to be good if it's not you. Like you can memorize a script, but learn the language that works for you. But we think referrals are something we have to ask for at the end, which is not necessarily the case. Like this last script I have says, as there's a list, people know your house is listed, they're going to come up and start talking to you about real estate more. And I ask, keep me in mind if you know of anybody that comes up out of being listed.
And don't let the closing be the last contact. Stay in touch with them forever. This is the last slide here. We should have a good relationship with the agent as well. I mean, I think I heard you say you love Keller Williams. Was it you that said it? Well, then don't you want every agent to be part of this? Like, I think Keller Williams, especially at the corporate level, it's like the stuff they have for us. I think it's just incredible. Even Ignite, it's amazing. And when I talk to an agent, I think, why are you not with Keller Williams? If they're not, Go to the exit realty.
Leave those ones out.
Yeah, that's what they call it, exit realty. Just kidding.
I know one of the calls like from
There was a fourth
Joe
person.
needs it.
No, there was a fourth person.
They just dropped the call.
They exited. Okay, so we have a few minutes. How has your thinking changed throughout this? What ideas or mindsets were new? Or we can just skip these 4 questions and answer questions. Does anybody have any questions?
I think that is really helpful.
Well, I'd like to take
Thanks,
credit
guys.
for it, but it was Alicia and Victoria put it together.
That's really good.
We had an ulterior motive actually, because we went to 3 classes where nobody came. So we decided, let's create something to give them that if they come in person, we weren't going to give it, if there's 10 people online, it was only the people that came.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's useful. If there's anything in there you want, a digital copy of the stats.
Or anything you want to explain.
Yeah.
Like if someone is a newer agent, some of the terminology may be funny or weird, but what I do like about providing our checklist is that it's Keller Williams, like our brokerage specific. Like this is literally what our agents and Victoria are using every day. So like sometimes when you get resources from Keller Williams, it's not specific to our market, where I know everyone here is having do compliance and command. I know everyone is.
These are our systems. Everybody, your team's got a totally different, probably, I assume. This is just what we do. Everybody must do something, but compliance became a nightmare at Keller Williams this year. Ever since they hired all these names, double check everything.
We call them because they're like on top of it. Like,
Yeah.
They when you have a thing, they're ready to.
It says RD for road on one and ROAD on the other. That's no good. They are good.
So we
Ours
want to be
is way
better.
better than that.
We're gonna get our black belts in compliance.
I was so happy the day that I caught something today. It was a Facebook post, they had a spelling mistake.
They're really good. Though. They're really good.
And John Hagen's birthday too.
Okay, people are on this call too, though. Who are.
I was happy.
I love this because I want to, be more organized. I want a checklist, or I think like my Bible, like I want to turn that part of my brain off and just like
Yep.
This is what I need, do, knock it off.
I'm the scatterbrain. This really helps me, especially if somebody else. No, but I mean, it's probably my biggest thing I need to work with paperwork, but I wasn't telling my husband, I don't be stuck in the stuff.
And I think also the more you use templates, the more you catch yourself too, and like are more efficient. For example, like fin track documentation. How many times are you with the client and you forget to ask, what is your occupation? Who are
Oh
you
my
employed
God,
by?
when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. I
So
should
we-
pay for one, I'm like, I forgot to ask them
So we-
occupation.
Right when we sign a listing agreement, we say, oh, by the way, would you send us a photo of your driver's license, or we can take it in person the next time we see you and confirm for me what your place of employment is and what your job title is. And then it's also documented on paper too. So if, not that FinTrack would ever come and be like, you lied, but no, the client told me this, it's on paper. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all for me.
Let's ask what CRM does everybody have? What do you use?
I'm using Command.
And you mind if I ask how many contacts you have?
Well, in one of our other Ignites, they told us to download our whole phone, so that's what I did. So I have like 165 or something.
The tactic we say is to, like, I guess find your wedding list, not your wedding list, but who hypothetically went to your wedding or would go to your wedding, and
Who would you invite to when you're getting married? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to take people's grades with them a while to build the database. I think it's great that you downloaded your phone. If there's
Now I have to
165,
clean it out.
there's probably
Yeah.
50 of them that are actually contacts.
Mhm.
Could be more, but your task should be to complete them as contacts. Like you always should want to, okay,
Get there.
I have a name, then you have a phone number because they came from your phone. How could I email them once, or how could I mail them a Christmas card? You just want to be completing it to get a very healthy database.
Mhm.
it's easy to do that too, like,
Totally.
A lot of stalking involved.
well, but even like,
Yes, but there's also good ways to do it, but you want a healthy database.
but even sometimes, like, if I only have one way of contacting somebody, I'll just come up with an excuse to get the other way. Like, if I'm inviting somebody to an event and I only have their phone, I say, oh, what's the best email address? Because I'll email it to you, even though I totally had a text version too, but
I have things set up all like that. Like if we're talking on the phone, I have something to email you. I want the information I don't have. If I have both of those, how would I send you? So I got some information. And we do, all we have as realtors is information, right? Whether it's houses around your neighborhood or something, but we have information to give you.
repackaging it too. Not repackaging it, but like, sometimes we look at, for example, like a search. Okay, I can set you up with a search, awesome. But like that search to a buyer is like a VIP buyer search, like know what's coming on the market as soon as it happens. But to a seller, oh, be a nosy neighbor and this is what's in your, like, it's all about marketing even within that offer.
It's one of the best ways to get people to information is a search. Who doesn't want to, you said you just love real estate.
Mhm.
So if I said to you, I would like to know every time my house comes up within 1,000 meters of you, you're, yeah, of course. Or every time my house sells. And when you only have 160 names, you have 165 phone number, it's a good way to phone them, right? Because what else you do? That's your database. We have a bigger database, so we have to do it a little different because you can't phone that many people.
Mhm.
But what database do you use?
Command.
Good.
I do like Command though. I think Command, and the best part of Command, I think the most underused is the shared templates that people can share.
From other agents. Marketplace, so those called?
Sometimes, no, not Marketplace, but in the same idea. But sometimes I take stuff from there.
Your team has a CRM,
Yeah, we use Command.
Connect, for everything?
Yeah.
So do you use the designs and?
I don't really like it. So I haven't like dug deep into it. I'm trying to get more into it, but
I don't disagree with you, I mean, because I've been through every iteration of it, and I've switched twice, I'm not switching again, but it's a lot better than it was. A lot.
yeah, I'm trying to get more into it.
I don't love it either, like it's.
The design software.
Hey, we're not here to put Command in.
I mean, Command in general, like, it's just, there's a lot, like, you have to learn a lot.
Yeah.
On top of learning a lot and then teaching yourself how to learn a lot, like, it's, I was just like,
It is
but I mean, I'm
it's
starting slowly.
overwhelming.
When I need help with something, it's really helpful to go through to the, like, the university or the
Yep.
for the training section and just figure out what that section is that you need help with.
Yeah.
That goes back to this. These are the things you should be doing. So when you're learning how to run a database and becoming an IT person, it's really distracting to sales.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you literally have to learn that on an IT person.
And they'll update it. They'll upgrade it.
Oh my God, no, please, no.
Oh, you have a new version. We just switched. Well, we've been 4 or 5 months switching to a new one. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Who are you using?
We used to use Infusionsoft and then we use Follow-Up. I love it, but it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's a forever learning curve, right? Like it's. Want to learn to do this, we'll learn to do it, and I need to make a template, wait a minute, job form, we got all these things, all of a sudden you're not a salesperson, you're
Working hard to learn it, yeah, like another program.
well, we did well. We did the hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was
Yeah.
useful.
Thank you for
Thank
coming in
you.
person. And then I think they're changing the order. So Andrew was supposed to teach next week, and then Dave is supposed to teach the, what is your topic though?
Your future.
Future career planning, but I think they've swapped it now.
Where
So
to take your career.
we're gonna go next week, and then Andrew will be the following week, and he's doing lead generation. So you should come back in person next week, and then maybe I'll figure out whatever else that was a little less systematized, but I'm sure we can pull
Yeah,
together
the other was,
something.
I think, more of a discussion. The more discussion, how you know, what does your future look like? What do you do to have a better future in real estate?
I do think though, if there's any board I should be with it's Keller Williams for career planning and career growth and building big businesses.
When I read the red book, I was with a different brokerage, and I kept referring back to it. And then I thought, if I keep using this as my Bible, why am I not there? Somebody gave it to me. That's not what.
I've only.
Your future, plan for your future. That's what we're gonna talk about. And then graduation. Wow. But then after graduation, you gotta come back and do a lot of years. Well, I wish you guys all the best in your career.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
I know it wasn't easy for everyone to come in person, but I really appreciate it.
Joyce, when do you think you'll have your license? A year?
I'm not sure.
Not
Try
sure.
my best.
Do you have a full-time job as well?
Yeah, right now I'm working as a social worker.
Oh, good for you. Full-time? Oh, good for you. So you're just squeezing this in. You go to night school? When you go to Humber, will it be night school?
No, it'll be online, won't it?
No,
Oh,
I
yeah.
prefer to do one thing constantly, so just focus on.
Yeah, yeah.
I think one course at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Just online, 6 courses.
Online?
And then do
Yes.
exam.
They have a face-to-face component too,
Do you have
don't
tips?
they? I think.
I
Like,
think it's coming back. I wouldn't like online.
I haven't yet, not yet.
Do you know the study together?
I think the exams, doctorate exams. because
Yeah.
I-
You might be there before I am, but.
Otherwise, just keep remembering.
Part of the exam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
so
Oh,
you only get two tries, and like, I've been writing my whatever with. some
You
sort of
literally
function,
don't
and It's actually a exam, so it counts.
Thank you, people online.
Over and over and over.
Bye-bye.
You'll remember.